are now tuned in to DAR Sports Media. We are here. We're coming to let you a little bit early with this week's NFL episode because we've got some EA college football action coming for you that we're going to record tomorrow or tonight as this releases. So that's going to be our Wednesday video because we got a special guest coming in on that, we hope. So we got to fit their schedule, and it's going to be fucking great. Can't wait to shoot that for you. So tonight we're coming to you a little bit early with the AFC North. One of the, I think, arguably the deepest division in football. I think you got three teams at the end of the season. I wouldn't be surprised being there in the Final Four. And this is also my yearly case I make to say I think that maybe the Steelers are a little bit undervalued, depending on what goes on, obviously, with the quarterback position. But starting off here, I think that the Ravens still got to be the class of the division. Although I do think that the Browns, it's another team. Man, they looked so powerful at times last year, and it just all depends on what they get out of serial sex offender Deshaun Watson, what he does this year. If he gets, if he can get 5% better, if he can earn 2% of that contract they gave him this year, they're right up there. That defense is so damn good. They're loaded in the backfield. Watson again, still a great offensive line, but I got to go Ravens still at the top. Perennial league MVP at this point. Lamar Jackson back in the saddle. Their usual deft moves in the offseason. I think a big thing, I think the Ravens know that this is they're going to need a refresh pretty soon. And that's the type of thing that when you sign a guy like Derrick Henry. Who knows what he got left in those legs, but if he has one more 1,000-yard season left in him, this is going to be an extremely, extremely powerful team. They took a break this year from trying to, like every year, trying to try more and more to pick up another receiver for Lamar Jackson. I think they went a little bit back to the roots, getting Derrick Henry in there. So a lot of they had some losses, but I'd still think they're near the top. Patrick Queen's going to be a tough loss to replace. Going to love talking about him going over to the Steelers on purpose to take a little bit more money. Yeah, that's why you don't like him. Don't try to downgrade him as a player because
I'm not downgrading him. I'm just saying that he didn't really start playing effective until Roquan Smith came on the scene because he was missing. And honestly, he was not doing his job. That's why Roquan Smith was brought in. And we have one
of the biggest losses might be the defensive coordinator, Mike McDaniel. And I know Tay might feel good about that because, those cheerleader coaches, right? That their coordinators are what do everything and make everything work. And they lost a guy who is a defensive magician over on the defensive coordinator side. Mike McDaniel. I still have the Ravens in first. I still got them winning at least 12 games. Go ahead.
It's next man up with Baltimore, especially with linebackers. So Trenton Simpson, second-year man out of Clemson, he's going to fill the role. Malik Harrison got bought back. That's another guy who's going to play some linebacker. Zach Orr, who's a former Ravens player, is our new defensive coordinator, and he was our linebacker.
Yeah, no, I know who that is. A real smart player.
Yeah. So that's our new defensive coordinator. So, one thing that the Ravens get right is defensive coordinators. We've had multiple former defensive coordinators become head coaches. So, I'm not disrespecting Mike McDonald. I think he's going to do well in Seattle, but I'm not overly concerned. I don't think we're going to fall off a cliff. And I like our first round pick, Wiggins. We had needed help at the corner. Humphrey, he ain't really at his peak anymore. So we definitely needed Wiggins to come through. Little bit concerned about the line. This is make or break for Dafe Owe and David Ajabo. They have to get more production, more sacks. That's the issue that they've been having early on in their career. I like the Derrick Henry pickup. I definitely think he has multiple 1,000-yard seasons in him because the thing is, the Ravens were leading the league in rushing with Gus Edwards and J.K. Dobbins occasionally, and at the time, Justice Hill and other running backs. Like at one point, we were still top 3 in rushing when we had a bunch of senior citizens in our backfield due to injuries and COVID.
Yeah.
It was like Devontae Freeman and Le'Veon Bell and just anybody old in Washington. We were still top 3 in the league in rushing. So adding a legend like Derrick Henry, who hasn't played with a dual threat to this level before, it's just going to be dynamic. And with wide receivers, we're building internally. I'm not really thrilled with our receiving core, to be honest with you. Like, I like Tez Walker. I think he'll be cool. They're putting a lot of faith in Bateman. They signed him to a 3-year deal. I personally don't like it because he hasn't produced. I don't think he has over 1,000 yards, like, in the 3 seasons that he's played, like, combined. And I like Zay Flowers, though. And I think Likely is going to be a bigger factor as well. Of course, Mark Andrews, but I definitely think Likely is going to be on the field more.
Stop me if you've heard this before. No, go ahead. I got you. I like Likely too, but it seems like this is every year.
I mean, when Andrews went out,
this going to be it. I say Likely.
I'm saying when Andrews was out, he produced. It's just like, for whatever reason, they don't want to play 2 tight end sets with them. It's not him. He's not the problem. They just gotta incorporate him in the offense more, like use him like
especially if you're wide receiver deficient, like.
And I think we are. Like, I like bringing back Aguilar. Like he has his drop issues, but he played well for us last year. He didn't really have too many drops for us last year. So I know like what the narrative is, but I like that re-signing more. So he was better than Odell last year, honestly. We overpaid for him. Yeah, that's $18 million. Like, fuck out of here. But enough about the Ravens. My view about the other points I'm gonna pass to Tay, the other teams. The Steelers have been playing us well recently. I don't like it. They always find their way around 9 to 10 wins. So I can't say it'll be them and the Browns for last place. Depends with Russell Wilson. I don't know if he's used to playing in these type of elements consistently. Like the AFC North.
Do you think the Browns are going to be 3rd place?
Yeah, I think the Bengals are going to be ahead of the Browns.
Oh, I don't know, brother.
I'm taking healthy Joe Burrow over Watson. I'm sorry.
Okay, but
if Burrow can stay healthy the whole season, I'm taking Cincinnati number 2. Like, nasty man, often. He had a hell of a half, huh?
He doesn't do that very often. And they lost Tyler Boyd and Joe Mixon, 2 major starters on the offense.
That's true, but like,
didn't add a whole lot.
Yeah. But
hold on. We'll come back. Tay, it looks like it's just another year of people underrating your future Super Bowl champion, Cleveland Browns, it looks like.
No, the Browns aren't getting underrated. I don't think the Browns are a championship team, but that was last year. I switch my teams every year. The Browns are no longer one of my teams.
Yeah,
we'll get to them. We haven't got to one of my teams just yet. Like, that'll be in another division. But what were we about to say?
I ain't mean to cut you off, but I hope Nick Chubb comes back healthy. Like, he had a horrible injury. Like, I know they the Browns, they a division rival, but he's a hell of a player, and I just hope he comes back healthy. I ain't mean to cut you off.
That's true.
All right, Tay, who do you got at the top then? Who do you got at the top of this division? I know it's not the Ravens.
Oh, yeah, definitely not the Ravens. Oh, the Bengals.
The All right.
Yeah, I definitely had
why,
the Bengals
man.
at the top. I like what they did with the O-line. I like getting Trent Brown. You know, they got a solid tackle, and then they drafted Amarius Mims.
Yeah.
I was a big fan of that. If one of their tackles does go down, like always, they have they got an option, you know. Mims is 21, 22. One of the most toolsy tackles in the draft. I was a big fan. 6'8", you know, just the dream tackle,
Yeah.
as far as the size goes and strength and whatnot. But yeah, I'm not worried about. I don't think Tyler Boyd is really a loss. Like I don't think they go in there like, man, I wish we had Tyler Boyd. I don't think
Yeah,
so.
they do got Trenton Irwin, who's going to step in. Who was
Yeah,
pretty damn good
yeah,
last
that's
year.
what I'm saying.
I
And
think
then
my concern more is they got Zach Moss starting at running back, bro.
I think they'll be okay.
Okay,
I think
all
they'll
right.
be okay. Like, this is a team. Chase Brown is one of my sleeper players too.
Yeah,
I think
I
they'll
do
be
like Chase
okay.
Brown.
Like honestly, I think the running back room is fine. Like Joe Mixon, they were, it was the right thing to do to move on from Joe Mixon. I think the running back, I think the offense is perfect. This is a Super Bowl offense to me. You got the right guy in the center. I mean, they got the best
They
wide receiver
upgraded the
duo.
offensive line to protect him. Yeah,
Exactly. Yeah, their offensive line is good. And then they have depth in their offensive line, which is something they didn't have. And wide receiver room, still have Jamar Chase. T. Higgins re-signed. And they drafted Jermaine Burton from Alabama. I think that could be a Tyler Boyd replacement. Maybe not this season, but in years to come. I think their offense is perfectly fine. And defense, the Bengals, they stole Geno Stone. I really do like Cam Taylor Britt, one of the surprises of last season. Yeah, like the Bengals, there's nothing, you can't tell me anything the Bengals don't have. Like they have a pass rusher, they got an elite quarterback, they have the receivers, they got an O-line. It's just they have it all. They have a corner.
line. That's got to be proven.
Oh, I'm not. I'm sold. Oh no, I'm definitely sold. I'm sold. They got three.
On the field.
They got, so I can say that about the Ravens O line then.
I mean, we're not as bad as the Bengals.
No. You're worse. Oh no,
like,
no. You're worse. No, you're worse. You're worse. The Ravens are worse. The Ravens had the worst O line in the division. Now I think about it.
I mean, we switched out from some vets though. We're going younger. That's what we're doing.
That's what the Bengals are doing. You saying the Bengals got to prove it? So do the Ravens. Then, if that's
absolutely, yeah, we got Ben Cleveland and other young guys that's about to get a. Because I don't think Zeitler's back. We traded Morgan Moses too, so yeah, they was both over 30.
Yeah, for the Bengals though, I just like what they got going on. Like they got younger too, especially on defense. Like their secondary is very young. Like they got a bunch of 22, 23-year-olds, and it worked for them last year. Yeah, like as a contender, you want a pass rusher, you want a quarterback, you need that wide receiver. This team, they check all the boxes for it. So that's why I got them at number one, and I just expect health this season.
Yeah,
yeah. So I had the Bengals.
Luck changes around. Okay, so who's number two? The Ravens even number two.
Yeah. The Ravens are definitely number two. Yeah, they'll be back. Both Bengals and Ravens will be in the playoffs. Yeah, Ravens had a really good offseason. Don't like what they did with the O-line. Thought that was kind of odd, but I'll wait to see with that. I think they could have targeted more receivers. I'm not a fan. I don't think they have like Zay Flowers is good, but I just see some kind of cap in Zay Flowers. Like,
yeah, I think it could be a true one, a true X. Yeah,
I don't think that's Zay Flowers. Like, he's good though. I'm not saying he's bad, but I don't know. They have yet to find that number one, that true number one. I do think Zay Flowers is good though.
Too bad there wasn't one or two of them available at around draft time for trade. I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe from the West Coast. So what's you're out on the Browns, man? What's the deal? Third place.
I don't know. I'm not necessarily out. I'm just not as high on them, if you get what I'm saying. Like,
why? They proved everything that you said last year.
Yeah, right. But I just don't see the same. And you gotta remember, they did have Ravens legend Joe Flacco too. So that
That's
definitely
true.
helped. You
True.
know, I don't think. I just expect like a drop off a little bit. Like
Yeah.
the roster's the same, yeah, but it's kind of relying on Nick Chubb. Like, does he come back? Sean Watson, does he come back? Like, I'm not kind of got lucky on the Browns pick last year. I thought Deshaun Watson was gonna be something. He was nothing. And they lucked up
Except
on
for that
Joe
one
Flacco.
fucking half against us, bro.
Yeah,
Went
yeah,
like
honestly.
13, 14 to like 250 yards. What the fuck?
Yeah, I think the defense will be good. I don't think the defense will be as good as it was, but I don't know. I think the offense would just have some kind of struggles this year. Like, I think Deshaun Watson's probably going to be healthy this season, and it's going to be their guy. Honestly, they lucked up by signing Joe. Having Joe Flacco on the roster was like the best thing they could have did last year, and they don't have that now. I just see like a slight drop off. Like, they overachieved last year. I guessed the overachieving season from them. Now I think they'll come back down to earth, and they could win. Like, they'll be a good team. Like, they can win 9 games maybe, but 10-11 what they did last year, holding teams under 10 points. I don't think this is that same team.
It's pretty wild. Have we ever seen a situation outside of the repeated sex offenses? Have we ever seen something like Deshaun Watson where there wasn't like a catastrophic injury? He threw a fit, demanded to be traded, was out for a couple years between that and the repeated sexual assaults. Comes back, gets the craziest deal in NFL history, and he just sucks now. Like, nothing. He just lost it.
He had
overnight. Like, you know what I mean?
But he bounced back from that one injury. You remember, like early on, like
no. But he was. I'm talking about. He was coming off an MVP season. He was coming back off of one of the greatest quarterback seasons that anybody has ever had, and then didn't play, and now he comes back and he's just not the same guy at all. Has it ever happened before? Has anything ever happened like that before?
I'm really trying to think of somebody
where there wasn't an injury, he just didn't play for a while and come back, and now he sucks.
It's crazy because Latrell Sprewell got suspended for choking his coach.
Yeah.
And he came back and went to the NBA Finals. He came back like ain't shit happened. So yeah, I can't think of nobody who like ate a year-long suspension for something.
No one sat out the year before that.
Maybe like them old school baseball players on the Mets, like Dwight Gooden and Darryl Strawberry, some shit.
Yeah, that's nuts.
That's the only thing I can think of. Yeah.
So to me, the most interesting, because pretty much all these rosters, they kind of stood pat, kind of like, okay, re-up, hope for better health, couple of little additions here and there depth-wise, but like pretty much the same. The Steelers, however, threw a ton of I loved their offseason. They threw a ton of assets at their offensive line. A couple of guys who I think are going to be plug and play top half starters in Fontenot and their center, Zach Winter, I believe his name is. I think they're going to be legit. Have one of the better a top half of the league offensive line if those guys pan out all of a sudden. So the roster was already strong, right? They already came close to being there at the end. And then they did all this turnover. They had a great draft, had a great offseason, but it's still like, I don't know if it's going to be enough to have them anything other than last place because of this quarterback situation. Wilson looked pretty damn good at times last year. But another year of washed Russ, it's not most likely going to get better. Man, it's interesting because you got like an A+ offseason added to a B+ roster, but it's a little bit like the Vikings where the crater at quarterback could be so bad that I don't know if they're going to be able to do better than last place. And it's insane to me. It feels crazy to say that, but Axe, what do you think of what the Steelers did and what the potential is this year?
They definitely addressed some issues that they had. A lot of it's depending on which players that they have already that's there. If they improve, they do draft fairly well. I'll give them that credit. Pickens, see what happens with him. See how him and Russ play together. Joey Porter Jr., that was good pickup, draft pick by them last year. See how he improves. Najee Harris, see what happens with him. TJ Watt's probably best defender in the league, arguably. Like him, Myles Garrett. There's a lot of tough defenders in here, man. So my thing with Russ, a lot of times in his career, he starts off the season playing very well. And then by like week 7 or 8, his play kind of declines. I don't know what it is, but that's kind of been a theme ever since about like the mid-2010s. Like he kind of flames out towards the end of the regular season a little bit. I know Tomlin's going to get to his like 9 to 10 wins most likely. But I'm interested to see how Russ deals with the physicality. Like, I know the NFC West was physical back, well, not even really the West, more so just y'all, honestly. But, like, it's a different type of physicality in the AFC North. You're going to be eating a lot of hits. There's so many pass rushers. So,
yeah.
I don't know how Russ going to do in the AFC North, especially if he's not as elusive. If he get to, like, throwing that desperation wild across his body shit, like, ain't gonna fly in the AFC North. So I don't know.
The center that they took was named Zach Frazier. I just want to correct that real quick. And I think he's going to be a plug and play, like solid player right off the bat. Tay, what do you think the potential is here for Pittsburgh Steelers?
They could potentially make a wild card, but I don't have them doing that. I think that's their ceiling is a wild card. I got them. I don't know. I'm not really sold on the Steelers. Never really have been. Like, I'm not Russell Wilson guy. Russell Wilson just has a lot of issues, and I don't think their backup is really any better. I'm very out on Justin Fields.
That was going to be the next question that I was going to go to. So do you don't think that not anything's happening with this Justin Fields thing?
I don't believe. Like, I've seen enough evidence. I just don't think he's that guy. I would hope maybe he matures and gets a chance, like on some Geno Smith shit.
Yeah,
maybe down the road. Right now, nah, he's been given opportunities too. So.
Yeah, this team definitely has to be run heavy though. Like Najee Harris and Jalen Warren, that's gonna be the way they win games, running the ball, giving the ball to their running backs. Yeah, it's solely based off of Russell Wilson. Like if they had a different quarterback, I feel much different about it. But I'm not comparing Kenny Pickett and what I am. Russell Wilson and Kenny Pickett have the same issues. Basically, they don't throw in the middle of the field. Like it's gonna look the same, honestly. Like I don't. And then Russell Wilson.
You saying he washed?
Yeah, he been washed for a while. Yeah. He wouldn't have got the contract he did if he wasn't what. Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
All right. I think this one's probably pretty easy, but maybe Tail give us a swerve here. AFC North MVP, pretty obvious, right? X.
Yeah, like definitely Lawrence Action Jackson playing a plethora of games, about between 15 and 17, he gonna get it for sure. Like with Derrick Henry behind him, that's just gonna open so many things up. And I think one thing I've noticed about Lamar too is this offseason, he's back to how he looked a couple years ago when he was like real slim. Like pause. Like he's not as muscular because some rumor is some people are saying the way he got caught in open field in that Chiefs game, that kind of pissed him off. And he feel like he lost a little bit of speed. And like
Okay.
the word is he's like back to how fast he was a few years ago. Because like it seemed like he was a little stockier, like because if you watch his highlights from his first MVP season and last year, he wasn't running as fast. I know he's a little older, but like I don't know, it just if he can get back to how he was running the first season and he could throw and not make as many reckless decisions via throwing like he did in the AFC Championship game, like that's still the throwing triple coverage still pisses me off. But as long as he can like elevate his passing game and get back to his speed with the combination of Derrick Henry, I think he's going to level up, man. I think AFC Championship game last year put some shit in perspective. He's going to come through different, and I think he's going to level up and finally get over the hump.
I think I know who Tay is going to pick. Go ahead.
Yeah, the MVP of this conference is the first pick in the 2020 draft out of LSU. It's not no Lamar Jackson. Joe Burrow about to climb back to the top. Yeah, the Bengals as a whole just had a down year, injuries. I don't think Joe Burrow is injury prone. Like the 2 years before that, he played 16 games each, and there was no questions about injury prone. But yeah, it was just one of those years that every quarterback gets hurt at some point. So I don't know. I think they just got something to prove. Like they didn't make the playoffs. I think people are counting them out too. I don't really hear a lot of Bengals talk nowadays. And yeah, I think they're gonna show why they belong and why he belongs too. I think Joe Burrow is just like he's not the most talented. Like, he don't have the biggest arm. He's not the fastest, not the strongest, not the tallest. But up here, Joe Burrow, he just makes the right decisions. Like he's one of the most accurate quarterbacks. I think I did see something like that. I think he is like statistically like the most accurate quarterback like in history. I think it's like he's like right behind Drew Brees or something like that. But yeah, Joe Burrow. Yeah, I do think the division is the Bengals, and I think he will be the MVP in that division.
So I'm going to agree with Dax. Go with Lamar. I think he has a chance to get the NFL MVP one more time if a certain Bay Area quarterback doesn't get it. But I do want to shout out, because a lot of this that I base on is like, where would these teams be without X player? TJ Watt, Steelers, Myles Garrett, Browns, both of those guys. If we were voting for MVP, AFC North, they should both get votes. They should both be in the top three because those teams live and die by the production of those two guys, and they're both two just phenomenal players. So I wanted to give them a shout out. It's a little bit tougher rookie of the year in this division because they all these teams are pretty stalwart, picked a little bit more low key, or didn't have a first round pick in the situation of the Browns. But I'm going to go Troy Fautanu, tackle for the Steelers. I think he's going to be plug and play. I think he'll immediately be top 20 offensive, top 25 offensive lineman. Big, nasty, physical individual. Perfect fit for the Steelers. Steel City, what they do. I love that pick so much for them. That's who I'm going with for my rookie of the year in the AFC North. What do you got, Axe?
I'm going to go with Nate Wiggins. I believe he's going to be
Kay's favorite player.
He's going to be cornerback number 2, most likely. He'll be out there covering the X, occasionally covering the slot as well. Like, it'll be packages where he's on the field. I think he'll play immediately, kind of like how Kyle Hamilton had played immediately. He wasn't just like riding pine. You just had to play him on the field. I think he fits in well. He'll force a couple turnovers, just have great coverage. So I think he'll just blend into what we do. So, yeah.
Tay, who do you got? I think your favorite rookie might not get on the field much this year. So who do you got?
Yeah, I want to say that, but I just don't know. Yeah, I don't think he'll play that much. It will have to be off injury. But I'll go with a flyer. I'll say Peyton Wilson out of NC State in Pittsburgh.
Yes, I forgot about that. They added him too to that defense.
I was really high on him. Just athletically, just him as a player, just watching him play. Like he just it's one of those like them hyper, like
Yeah, he
he's one of
comes
them
off.
kind of guys. Yeah. He's just one of them kind of guys, and I think he'd be great for Pittsburgh. I know he has injury concern, but I mean, a lot of people do, and you either get hurt or you don't. And I think Peyton Wilson's gonna be a good linebacker in this league. So that'd be my rookie of the year.
Steelers had just a phenomenal draft, man. God damn, I forgot about that. You pick up basically four starters, because I think all three of those guys in the O-line are going to start, and then Peyton Wilson, once they figure out how to use him, absolutely be screaming around out there for the Steelers. Excellent shit. We thank you guys for tuning in. We'll be hitting you up with more NFL coverage next week. Later on this week, probably tomorrow, the EA CFB review. We're going to talk about the things we do like, the things we don't like. Might be a little bit controversy. We were talking a little bit before we went online. I've got some feelings. I've got some thoughts. But overall, it's just fucking great to have a college football game back in our hands. So I will say that. And I am thankful for all the love that was clearly put into this game. But we got takes. We got things to talk about in a little review tomorrow night. I know I got the early access. Taylor's early access. We're playing it right now. We took a little break to record this pod for you guys. So we'll have about 20 hours under our belts before we can record tomorrow night. And then me and True, Weekend Wrestling. Tough weekend this weekend for our guys. So we had the weekend off, but hopefully we should be back this weekend with some weekend wrestling. Lots of things going on. Build to SummerSlam, build to All In. Interesting things. So we hope you join us for all that stuff. We got football, we've got sports, we've got wrestling, we've got always projects always bubbling on the down low, because the world of DAR never stops.